This is just a quick video on finding your x and y intercepts from an equation. We're going to start by looking at the graph. So just a reminder, this is your x-axis and this is your y-axis. And so any point that lies on your x-axis is going to be set up where the number, or where it is on the x-axis, is in the x point in your ordered pair. And your y is always going to be 0 because here y is 0. And the same concept for the y-axis, a point on the y-axis is going to be 0 and then some number. So we're going to get back to that in just a minute, but one skill that you need to be able to do is just to solve one-step equations. You probably learned this the last couple of years, but just in case you've forgotten, let's just review. Remember that the operation here between 2 and x is multiplying, and so to solve this, you do the opposite, which is division. So I am going to show that division with a fraction bar. Remember, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so my final answer is just 7/2. Can you try that for this one? Yep, so I'm going to divide by -4. So x equals 9/4, or just -9/4 is fine. Okay, so knowing how to do that is critical for the work we're going to do now in finding the x and y intercepts. So looking at this example, you might even want to set up your final answer over here and say, okay, this is going to be my x-intercept, and this will be my y-intercept. Now, remember, with x-intercept, you want a number for x, and y will be 0. For the y-intercept, you want a number for y, and the x will be 0. I always remember it because you want the number for the y-intercept, you want the number to be for y, and for the x-intercept, you need the number to be for x. So now, thinking about this, remember our ordered pairs, this is your x and this is your y value. So we're going to do this one first. In this case, I know that the y is going to be 0. So I can come over to this equation and I can put 0 in for y. And then I can rewrite this equation, -3x plus 9 times 0 equals 21. And then I'm just going to solve it. So again, what's 9 times 0? So because that's just 0, we can just cross it out. And -3x equals 21, and then solve for x, just like we did earlier. So I would divide by 3, or -3, and x equals -7. So in that case, that means that my x-intercept is the point -7, 0. And then we'll do the same for y. Remember, with y, your x is 0. Y is what we don't know yet, the value for y. So I'm going to take my equation, -3x plus 9y equals 21. And this time, since x is 0, I'm going to put the 0 in for x. And so -3, and then we'll write the rest of the equation. By the way, when you are watching these videos, you really should be writing these down, these examples, as notes so that you can refer back to them, because you know you're going to have to do this on Khan Academy, and it is important that you sort of remember these steps, especially as we get to solving some very complicated equations that we will get to later this year. So this -3 times 0 is just 0, and then we get 9y equals 21, and then we solve that for y. So we would divide by 9, y equals 21/9, but I can simplify this one by dividing it by 3, so we would get 7/3. Oh, let me show you that answer. Yep. Okay, so let's try one on your own. I'll walk you through the beginning parts of this. So for this one, again, set up on the side your x-intercept point and your y-intercept point. Remember, for x, there's going to be a number for x and a 0 for y. For y, there's going to be a number for y and a 0 for x. So these blank spots are just waiting to be filled with whatever the intercept is. So let's do the x-intercept first. Again, remember x and y, those are our coordinates. So if the y is 0, I'm going to come over here and put 0 in for y and rewrite the rest. And then 7 times 0, just 0. So we get negative 4x equals 14. Divide by negative 4. So in this case, x equals negative 14 over 4. So I'll rewrite that. So my x-intercept is negative 14 over 4, 0. So the graph would be crossing at that point on the x-axis. Now for the y, remember that's my x and y, so we know x is 0. So I'm going to put that back in here. So negative 4, except instead of x, I'll do 0. Plus 7y equals 14. And then negative 4 times 0 is just 0. So we get 7y equals 14, divide by 7. So y equals 2. So my final answer is showing that the x-intercept is negative 14 over 4. Oh, actually, I could simplify that, couldn't I? So let's simplify that to 7 over 2 and negative. Okay, so actually, the x-intercept is negative 7 over 2, 0. And your y-intercept is 0, 2. So one more. Again, you probably need to do this one out. You need to show your work, do it on paper, because that's really what will help you with this. So why don't you try to find the x and y intercepts? So first, again, I'm going to write them out. So for the x-intercept, remember that my y value will be 0. So we'll write negative 3x plus 5 times 0. Those cancel out because it's just 0. So negative 3x equals 12. Divide by negative 3. So x equals negative 4. And then again here, this would be x is 0. So I'll rewrite this, except instead of x, we'll put 0. Divide by 5. So x equals just 12 over 5. And that's it. So you can go try this on Khan Academy.